If you shoot more than 3 rounds, you're shooting birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you could go full on automatic, but it's going to climb. And the first thing you know, you can't hit. You're not pointing what you're shooting at. The new ones they've got, the new AKs, AK-47s and those things there, they shoot a smaller bullet, but they don't climb at all. I mean, they fire those real fast because it's a smaller bullet and there's almost no recoil. You can put a whole pattern in a fairly small area. But those things, and I don't know if it's because we were shooting great big 45s or what it was.
I actually know this. The recoil, like on the Tommy gun,
Yeah.
the butt stock is underneath, so you can like look down the sights.
Yeah.
And on new guns like the M16 and stuff, the sights are raised, so where you're shooting, the barrel goes, it's a straight line to your shoulder. And when it's angled down, since the barrel is like above you, then it just rises.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not straight back.
But I used to also carry a 45, an Army 45 on my hip, and that had a bad recoil. Of course, that's you fire that thing and it goes like that thing. The new Berettas, they don't do that. I mean, you can put a whole group and do, but it jumps up so bad. Then you got to come back and aim again. You can't put two thick bullets in the same person.
Did you have this at, like, even when you were in the Air Force?
Yeah. We had.
Did you carry it with you, like, in the plane, or what?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yes. Anyway, on this thing here, we took all this 45 ammunition and rifle ammunition out there, and we dropped it. Now, we had to drop it in an area that was about half the size of a football field.
Okay.
Because that's all that was available to us. And we had to put it in there, and that means that we had to come in there and from across the river and drop it in that real quick little area. And then he'd immediately have to pull up and take a right and get out as soon as we could. And the problem is, we were drawing fire all the way around from the time because they knew they were on this side. They were all around here, and the Merrill's boys were right here, and they were surrounded this way. And we had to come in this way, and if we turned this way or this way, they would catching it. Talk about being scared. Lord, I was scared. I mean,
weren't the bullets like going through the plane?
Yes. And they didn't whine like they do on television. They sound like a firecracker. Pop! It's just a crack. Just a crack, just like a little firecracker. And then you see holes in the fuselage up there. But anyway, we did all of our, we succeeded with our drop. But they were smart enough that they kept unloading on one of the engines, and they took out the oil cooler that hangs underneath the engine and the wheel, the right-hand wheel. And of course, when you take out the oil cooler, then they have to shut the engine down because it'll catch on fire. It's like running a car without an engine, without a crankcase. So that we lost an engine. Scared us guys in the crew.
Did you only have 2 engines or 4 engines?
Two engines.
How do you fly with only 1 engine if it's like on one side? It seems like you just like fly in circles.
No, you can control it. You can fly on 1 engine. You just give it some right pedal. Give it some right pedal, and it'll work out. You just give it some pedal. That's all. And so that's what you did. And there was some bird colonel. I never did know who he was, and he was from intelligence, and he wanted he knew, he wanted to see what it was and how the rescue went and all that kind of stuff, but due to all the gymnastics, coming in high, diving down, and making a quick run, and then pulling up and hard right, after about a run or two, he was sick. He got so strongly sick. It was a good thing nobody else got sick. But anyway, we lost an engine. We managed to get back and set it down. The guy did a nice job of bringing it in, setting it down with, on one wheel. And
Does that mean, like, if you land on one wheel, eventually it would have to go
yes.
down?
That's
so
right.
you were just like skidding along the
That's
runway?
right. That's right. But you keep it up as long as you can. You give it as all your ailerons. You keep it full trim. Slow it back as much as you can, and eventually it goes down and bucks a little bit and so forth and spins a little bit. But anyway, and when we landed, there was oil and stuff all over the plane where the oil squirted out all over. People kept running up. What happened? What happened? I was so much in shock I couldn't talk. And the day I can't talk is a rare day. But it was scary. Another time we got shot up too. But this was when we had to keep coming back, and on every run we'd get holes in the fuselage.
How many runs did you have to make?
I think we made 8.
8.
Because we could only dump out so much because the field was so short.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah,
And you were the kicker, right?
yeah. Now
What does that mean,
Actually,
the kicker?
there were 3 of us.
He pushed out the.
We had to
card
stack it
wise.
up, and when the pilot would tell you, would drop his hand, and you could see you're over there, and you push it out, and then have to load them up again. But it's interesting that we finally got back, and man, I couldn't hardly talk. I was so much in shock, and the other guys were too.
What was the award you got for that?
Well, they gave me DFC 4 times, Distinguished Flying Cross.
Oh.
But that award doesn't exist anymore. It's been replaced, right?
No, they're still awarded. That's not still. It's
Are
still
they?
current.
Wait, they gave you 4?
4 different on different occasions.
Oh, really? Are they all in your little?
Because I think I've only
Yeah.
seen one of them.
Yeah, I've only seen one.
Okay, what they do is, if you look at it, you'll see there's 3 oak leaf clusters on that. That means you get 4.
Oh, okay, so the medal plus 3 little leaves.
You don't wear 4 of the same thing. You put oak leaf clusters on that, and that means you got several of them.
Huh. Didn't you fly like, since there was like a short supply of like people, didn't you fly like 200 missions or something like that?
Yes, I flew 282, officially credited.
And like the normal, like in the normal place, it was like you flew like 20 or 30 or
Yes.
something, and then you would leave.
Yes.
Now, you volunteered before the official Air Force came out, so how did you hear about the Marauders and why did you sign up?
No, he was in the Marauders.
Or, sorry, not
He
the
was
Marauders.
part of the Tigers.
The Flying Tigers. How did you
Yeah,
hear
how'd
about the
how'd
Flying
change
Tigers? You said you were originally like a clerk, so how did you get from
there to being
there
in
to
planes?
being in planes?
It was simple. I wanted to get out of the jungle, and they needed somebody back there to work on these planes, so I got a chance to transfer.
So they just said, "Does anybody want to go there?"
Uh-huh.
And you were like,
And I said, anything's better than this place. Anything. we learned one thing. You see, when the monsoons moved in, when we were up on the front, this is when I was on the ground, when the monsoons came through, there'd be days when there was, the ceiling was so low that you could get absolutely no air support. So you're strictly on your own. You could go a week with no air support at all. I mean, no food, nothing. And so what do? You take your rifle and go out and see what you can find. And sometimes it's kind of hard to find something.
Well, in India, were the Japanese going there or what?
Not where we were.
Okay.
Not
So
where
that's
we
why
were.
you could just like go out.
Yeah.
Before.
But the Japanese did make a big push into southern India, and they had a real brutal engagement with the British and some Indian troops down. The Japanese were trying to make a run in the area just above Calcutta to cut off all supplies to the Americans, and they were going to move right on in and take most of India, and they could have, but they had this one fight down there, and the Japanese threw a whole lot of troops in there, and the British lines and the Japanese lines at times weren't more than 40, 50 feet apart, and this was one of those deals where you take no prisoners. And they didn't, because when the Japanese took Rangoon, the British were in Rangoon when the Japanese moved in there, and they took no prisoners. They said, I can't take care of any prisoners, and so they killed them all. So when the British remembered that, and when the Japanese attacked up there at Imphal, and the British were the first ones there, the British and the Indian troops, take no prisoners, and they didn't take any prisoners at all. They were all shot. Well, there was no place to take them. There was a surgeon, the army surgeon up there was a guy called Gordon Seagraves, and he wrote a book called Burma Surgeon when he was up in Burma, and they bring in these Chinese or Japanese wounded, and they couldn't tell the difference between the Chinese and the Japanese most of the time. They all look the same. You can't tell by the uniforms. The uniforms aren't that different. And sometimes when they get them in the hospital, somebody'd come over and start questioning about what's your name and what's your unit and this sort of thing.
What name and unit were you? Well, obviously I know your name. What unit were you?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, well, you're getting ahead of myself. But the trouble is,